In this video, let's cover the FreeCAD Dodo Workbench, and this is a way that you can make frames, pipes, and other things quickly and easily. And this covers kind of a different concept than the standard parametric modeling that I think is pretty interesting. So let's get started by making a new part. And in here I'm actually going to start with the part design workbench. Now I'm sure that you can do this from a sketch as well, but I'm going to choose like a reference solid here. So sketching on the XY plane, it really doesn't matter too much what my dimensions are, but I'll constrain this for good practice. We'll give that a vertical dimension of, say, a meter. And notice I have my keyboard monitor here if you need to see that, to see my hotkeys. Also, how about maybe, of course, Shift H rather. Let's go with 1200 maybe. We'll close, do an extrude, and let's do maybe 500 millimeters in this direction. I'm going to select this face now and create another sketch on this face. We'll convert here and here, and I'm going to make a rectangle of the exact same size. We'll close that. We'll do an extrude. Maybe this time a meter. All right, so I have a rectangular prism that has a line going through it, right? And I want to illustrate why I have that line. So let's pretend that we want to make a rectangular frame, and all of these edges we want to be structural members. Well, I'll go into the Dodo Workbench, because otherwise this would be a lot of extrudes. Let's go to this button right here, Open Frame Branch Manager. Almost sounds like some kind of position you'd hear at a bank, right? Like, oh, I got to make a deposit. Let me get the Frame Branch Manager or something. I'm going to choose a profile, and of course there's a number of profiles to choose from, but I'm going to keep it simple. RH, this is square tube, 40 by 40 by 5 millimeters thick, and I'm going to select the edge of the solid that I wish to turn into a frame, and notice all these edges are going to be frame members, right? Weldment members. So I'm going to select my edge and click OK. And when I do that, you can see all of these structural members show up. Really fast and handy way to make a frame, and all these are 40 by 40 by 5. So let's get into how to deal with this edge treatment. Well, first off, I have this member here, and it starts in the middle of this and ends in the middle of this, and I'd like to address that. Maybe I'd like it to end at this face and end at this face. To do that, let me select this face. I'm going to hold Control and select this face, right? So I have the two faces selected that I want the ends of this to end at. So I'm going to click on Get Targets. And just with that clicked, now these two end faces are what we call targets. And I'm going to click on the element that I wish to trim or extend, and click on Trim and Extend. And it trims it and extends it to these targets here. Isn't that handy? Now I still have these targets saved, right? So I can select this piece and trim and extend, right? Now I can come down here, and I can select these two elements, trim and extend. And it does all of them at the same time. So that is a nice, easy way of doing this. Now, I may want to adjust some of the other elements, right? So I choose this inside face and this inside face, and I want all of these vertical members to be within these two faces. So I choose Get Targets, right? Now these two faces are the targets, and I hold Control. I'll select all of these 6 vertical members, and now trim and extend, and they're brought to be the correct length. Now same here. How about I select this outside face and this outside face, right? Two references on either side. Trim and extend. And let's choose this outer guy. Well, we should choose inside faces, shouldn't we? So we'll choose an inside face here, and an inside face here. No, but not that, right? First I want to get my targets. So those targets are the inside faces, and I select, say, these three members here, trim and extend, and they're all made shorter to meet up with this face. Right, so now I may have a target here and here. So we'll get targets, and I choose this piece. Well, something happened over here. So, easily fixed. Maybe I accidentally selected that here. Actually, we want this outside face. And I can simply retrim and extend this one if something goes wrong. So we're going to get targets, select this guy, trim and extend, and we've fixed that pretty easily. So next, this face and this face will get targets. Then I'll choose here and here, trim and extend. And you can see how we pretty easily get all of these parts to fit together well by simply clicking trim and extend. In fact, I think we are almost there. We have some more interfering faces, but I think we've made a pretty good little frame here. So I choose these interfaces, we'll get the target, and then I choose everywhere that I see an interference. Interestingly, that one isn't interfering. Those are all good. So just this side it looks like. Trim and extend. And now it looks like, I believe, that we have a complete frame with everything sized to the way that we wish to have it. So the Dodo Workbench is quick, easy, and powerful. If I were to try to make the same thing with a bunch of extrudes, you can just imagine what kind of mess that I'll run into with trying to make all these sketches and trying to get all of them to work together and be updatable and everything. So this makes pretty easy work out of everything. Oops, I accidentally hit OK, which created a structural member over my old structural member. So I'm going to hit Control Z there and cancel. And you basically always hit cancel to get out of that. So that is a way that you can make frames in FreeCAD. Let me save that. So what else can you do with this workbench? Let's talk about some of the other functionalities and limitations in here. I'm going to start a new part now. And this time I'll be very similar by creating a sketch of my top plane, but this time I'll go with a hexagon shape, and we'll make that horizontal, and we'll give this a dimension, how about 500 or half a meter. We'll close, extrude, I'll go symmetric, and let's say 1 meter. With that, if I go to my Dodo Workbench now, and select this edge, we'll open up our frame branch manager, just like we go to the bank. Here we have 40 by 40 by 5 millimeters thick, and I click, in fact, let's do something unique. How about UPN 80, right? It should be a U channel, and I click OK. Now I have U channel added to all of my faces. So I have a U channel hexagon, and when I go to trim this, right, I can select my upper and my lower limit as before. I click on Get Targets, and then I select all of the structural elements that I'm working with. And now I choose Trim Extend, and as we've done before, this trims and extends very well. But my U channels are all oriented with their U's in the right, in the same direction rather. So what do I do if I want to change things up a little bit? Well, I can actually rotate this U-channel about the axis of the edge that I've selected to create this by spinning this little slider, right? And I can change, the degree of angle that I wish to have. So here, maybe I want to have a 35-degree angle or a 40-degree angle. I'll stick with 40 here. Or maybe I want to have, 40. Let's go with 40. And then here, maybe I want to have a 100-degree angle so that they all kind of end up here. I need to actually add my 40-degree angle again, right? And then see, every corner is going to be another 60 degrees. So I can say 160 for that to be pointed kind of towards the middle. And this one, 160, is going to be 220, right? You can see the pattern that I'm taking, just adding 60 degrees every time. 220 plus 60 is going to be 280, and so on. So I can orient all of my U-channels in that way. Now what if I want to trim these to fit within the faces of the U-channel? Well, I can select this face and get targets, and this is where we start to see limitation. I choose this U-channel and I choose trim extend, and the length changes, but the face angle is not changed to the angle of this face, right? And it seems to be a limitation with the Dodo Workbench. You must have certain you must have faces that are going to be perpendicular to what you're trimming to. Otherwise, at these angles, it just doesn't seem to work. I've tried this in as many ways as I can think of. So even if I try to change the profile and make these, UPN 160, or in fact, I think it's 180 that I want. Right, so even when you change profile to something big like 180, and you can eliminate intersections and whatnot, this still just doesn't seem to trim the way that I want it. So if anyone knows how to get those to trim normal, that would be pretty cool. Otherwise, I think we're just dealing with kind of a limitation there. So bear that in mind if you have to deal with angles like these, that you'll have to use some other sort of post-processing to get these faces to land right. I don't know if some kind of draft would work more effectively. What else to cover? What if one of these standard, whether it's U-channel or square pipe or an eye cross section like this, or even, dowels. What if none of those seem to be satisfactory? Can you make other profiles? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to cancel this. Let's go to this next button, Create Customized Beam Profiles in 2D. Open this up, and I'll give this a lot of real estate since we're going to be working on this. You can choose any of these profiles, and you can see we have what you would think of as like a tabulated drawing here of the profile, and you can enter whatever values you want. So I want my H value, say, to be 100. So make that 100. I want my B value to be something like, how about 60? I'll have my D value. Let's make that pretty big. How about 75? And then my thicknesses, right? I want to have my first thickness. Let's make that something like 10. Thickness 2, we'll make that 15, right? So that'd be the thickness here. And then thickness 3 which would be here. We'll make that something like 5. And then we can type in a name, right? So I can say, we'll call that a test, and we'll say OK. And what that has done is now I open up my frame branch manager, just like I'm going to the bank again, and I go by sketch, and this profile shows up. So if I choose one of my beams and I say change profile, and that's a lot, so break this down, right? That is the custom profile that I just dimensioned out. So you can make your own custom profiles of any of the profiles that menu gives. Pretty useful feature. So that's pretty impressive to me, that you can make that kind of thing so quickly and so easily. Alright, so if I go back to my original one here, and I ask myself, well, what if I want to have different profiles in different positions of this frame? Can we do it? And we can, so I'll do a save as here. And I'm going to go through here and delete the whole frame, delete this, and I can show my pad. Alright, so I've got my 2 pads here. What if I want a different profile through the center here than I do everywhere else? I sure can do that. The first thing I'll do is in my Dodo Workbench, open up my frame branch manager, and I'm going to select all of the edges that I want to have one profile for. Here, 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 here. Alright, so everything is selected except for the faces that I want, or edges that I want to have other parts for, and I'm going to choose my square tube. You may have mixed luck using this method with other non-symmetric profiles, right? Sometimes you might get a weird twist or something, so be mindful of that. I'm going to say add single right here, and then I can choose my other edges. Maybe for some reason or design intent I wish to have like a round dowel profile or a U-channel, right? Maybe I can choose my smallest U-channel here, add single. And if I get rid of this, there you can better see the U-channel. And that's probably a good illustration of how these things can twist, right? My U-channel isn't facing the same way. And if I try to enter 180 degrees, the add singles work differently, and so I don't think it will twist the same way. So be very mindful of how you use add single. Nevertheless, because I've run into the same thing before, when I go to get targets and then trim, that also doesn't seem to work. So add single is a very good way to change up your way of adding things, but be aware that it's not quite as useful or functional as adding them all with add beams. So that is kind of an overview of the Dodo Workbench, and that is what I've used today is known as frame tools. And there's also a whole set of controls over here known as pipe tools. And I haven't even covered all of the frame tools, and I've already made a long video. So maybe we'll cover this some more, but it's an easy way to make some frames in this FreeCAD program. Now also, before I go, I should also cover if I make something in the sketcher, right, and sure, that plane will be fine. It may be worth mentioning that if I create a sketch and I close, now if I go to the Dodo Workbench, even with a sketch, I can open up my frame branch manager. Right, I can select my stuff. I can choose for a square tube, and I have a sketch that drives a square tube as well. So that should hopefully be interesting for now. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.